Africa is so ancient that at one time we just spoke one language and we traveled from one end of Africa to the other.
Right.
And because I have never seen such a thing, like we don't even speak the same language, but we can communicate through the ancestors.
Right.
So it's a wonderful thing, but it needs to be kept alive. And the books that you are all writing out here is a phenomenon, because the younger people will always have a reflection of what is supposed to be. What is unfortunate is that in my tradition, our people teaches us at the last minute.
Okay.
Like say, for instance, if there is a death of an elder, and there is nobody in between, and is only the young one, that young one is actually ordained to be the head, but the uncles in between will sort of surround him and advise him and bring him up to manhood. It gets to a point where when the father is being buried, they send him down into the grave, and then he comes out. So, you know, there is a purpose for everything which is done in an African tradition. Even when it sounds like a fairy tale. For instance, for sanitary reasons, the boys used to be threatened that the crab will drink your urine and you'll turn to a girl. And the boys would never waste into the water. But nothing like that would happen. But it keeps them from doing mischief, because the boys, they are always looking for something different to do. So they want to explore that and explore this, but the tradition keeps them away from that. Don't you ever do that. And all the African boys, they want to be boys.
Yes, they want to be men. Want to grow up one day to be men.
So it's very fascinating. I don't know how they threatened the young men from doing the wrong things in Ghana.
It's similar. It's similar. When we were growing up, we were told that if you urinate into water, you know, if you cannot remember your dreams. If you don't remember your dreams, you are a lost person. Normally, you know, when you remember your dreams, you know, you can interpret them and then survive. But here's a case whereby when you dream and you don't remember what you dream, you know, you can easily die without knowing. So there are similarities.
There is a lot of similarities in our tradition, and even when we take the drum, we see the drum in West Africa. They use more of the trees, the trunk of the tree, and put very small skin. And in South Africa, we rear a lot of cattle. So we got the drum, which got more skin, more hide on both sides, and then very little wood. So, but when it's all said and done, the communication is similar. And I remember I was told, I don't know how true it is, that when the Zulus won against the British at Isandlwane, they telegraph through the drum a message from South Africa all the way to Cairo through the drum, and they could communicate. And the whole continent knew that the Africans had
conquered
victory.
the British.
Yes. So it's very amazing. Here are the drummers who never shared anything, but they are able
to understand the language,
to understand each other, what the message is about from another drum. And that's a phenomenon.
My goodness.
Yes. So we look at all these things, and it really helps us a lot to understand who we are, because if we keep on gravitating to the West and we gravitate to other people's religion, we lose a whole lot.
We lose.
And if an elder passes away, there is a ritual which is done to bring him back and be an ancestor who is looking after the home. If that is not done, there's going to be a serious problem, because he's going to start demanding that someone do something to bring him back to his position in the family.
Brother Shange, what is your take on this Boko Haram, which wants to impose Sharia law in Nigeria regardless of your beliefs and the conflict it has created?
Well, you know, we're still the victims. We are the victims of brutality. We are the victims of other occults, people who form up these groups and call them a religion, and they use that against us. And we seem to accept other people's beliefs more than we accept ourselves, and that's very unfortunate. That's very unfortunate, because what is going on today, especially in Nigeria, is Africans killing each other. And there is no win situation in a situation like that. It is just death, and it's useless. Why should we lose our people over some religion? Because you are Muslim and the other one is Christian, and we're having the same thing in Darfur.
Yes.
Up to today, the Africans are killing each other. And we have to learn to leave this behind. We have been divided by these people through their religion, and we have been abused by these people through their religion, and it's time for us to learn that we have to go back to our tradition. And that's the only way which will take us across. And by the way, when it comes to tradition, a lot of our people are running away from it. Once they taste the university life and living the Western life, they literally don't want to deal with themselves as Africans. Sometimes they feel like it is an insult.
Well, they're afraid of being called primitive.
Well, I mean, primitive is not a bad word. Primitive means ancient.
Okay.
You know? I mean, what is wrong with being ancient? If you are ancient, that means that you are quite knowledgeable.
Right.
You know? So, but they are misinterpreting the words, and they want to be sophisticated, which, what does that mean, Sophie? What is that all about? You know? So, when you talk about the pyramids, that's ancient. When you talk about the Songhai Empire, those are ancient empires.
Right.
The Mali Empire, all these things, we have manuscripts on them. The world went to Africa to study. And we gave the world education to an extent that some of them, like the so-called the Alexander the Great, came back because of jealousy to destroy the African formation and the educational system.
Right.
We are the ones who set up posts for economical posts around the Kemet.
Okay.
And people came from all over the world to trade with the Africans. And we are the masters in trading. And we do it on a spiritual level and in fairness. Not this capitalism where it's a cutthroat situation.
Can you tell my viewers the creation story of this ancient religion, Zulu tradition?
Well, it's hard to tell, you know, from
A to Z.
A to Z.
Okay.
Because the people evolve with their spirituality. I believe that people harvest from their needs. When there is war going on, they have to form ways of surviving the war, and eventually it becomes a tradition.
Right.
You know, and this is how they address the war. And when it's time for harvest, there is a tradition also which our people go through. Right. When we were in power, the king had all the rights to declare the time for harvest.
Okay.
And the first fruit.
Right.
All this was all in the hands of the king.
Right.
And the king had the kings had conflict with the religion, the Christian religion, because it was taking away from their powers. Because the kings were more or less like the last word in everything. They would declare what the new rules are going to be. And then the Africans never made rules to be broken. They made rules to make sure that it will help the people to ferry through easier.
Right.
But in the West, they make rules so that you can break them so they can profit out of them. For instance, I see them putting the meters over there. They know you're going to forget to put money in, then they will write you a ticket. But in the African tradition, we don't do that. We find a way to help each other.
Right.
If you got a bigger field than I do, I am obliged to come and help you out.
Right.
And in return, probably you give me a bag of whatever we harvest.
Right.
And I go home, I'm happy I have something to bring to family. So everybody is at peace. But the Western style is very, very difficult to live with because it's tragic. You know, people with money, they don't want to associate themselves with anybody else who seem like they don't have money. And then they suffer from solitude because they don't have enough people to socialize with. Where else in the African tradition,
we're always together.
We are always together. No matter how ragged an elderly person might be, the children, they are supposed to respect that person.
Yes.
And if they do disrespect him, there is some repercussions for that. You know, so we are molded to respect others, especially our elders. Where else in the Western world, it's your money and your power.
Everyone for themselves.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Shange, we're talking about this thing about the fact that some of us go to these high institutions and then forget who we are. How are we going to change that? How are we going to get these or so-called intellectuals to get back in line and understand, you know, the African traditional system?
Well, first of all, Africa needs to have a relationship with her children.
Okay.
We don't know nothing about ourselves. Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, and all these countries are in Africa. We know less about them than we know about the West. And that's tragic.
Right.
We need to now come together in different levels.
Okay.
The first one would be a musical level.
Okay.
The music is a language for everyone who listens to it. You don't have to speak the language to know that somebody is hitting a bad key.
Right.
You will know.
You will know.
And when the music is good, you will know.
Right.